Hi guys, Coach Danny from Forward Movement Personal Training, and today we're just going to go through this quick slideshow to show you how we choose your nutrition strategy. So there's sort of three main areas that most diets fall down on. Number one is adherence, so how well you can stick to it. Number two is consistency, which is how long you can stick to it. And then number three is how well it suits their lifestyle. So if you can sort of create a nutrition strategy that does well in all these three things, you're on to a massive winner. So let's get started. So the first thing we do is look at what you've done in the past. So we want to do this for a few reasons. We want to find out what's worked well and what you've enjoyed. This makes it a lot easier to implement the strategy in the beginning. You don't have to spend time learning it and learning what to do. You already know. It's also going to feed the feelings of success as well, which is what we want, especially for sort of faster results. If you haven't got those feelings of success, it can lead to sort of feelings of failure, and then that creates a little bit of resistance from the start, which we don't really want. We want to sort of hit the ball rolling and make sure that we're sort of getting the results from day one if we can. So the next thing we do is take into account your personal preferences. So these are really important, so we can fit the strategy around you and your life. So some of the things we look at is, do you sort of prefer a higher carb diet or a lower carb diet, or a higher fat diet, a lower fat diet? How often do you like to eat? Because again, if we try and sort of get you on a strategy where you're eating 6 times a day, but you like to eat 2 bigger meals, then it's just not going to work. You're not going to stick to it for as long as you could do. Are there any days that you prefer to have more or less calories on? So you could have like more calories on training days, or a lot of people tend to have less calories in the week and then more calories at the weekend. Foods that you like and dislike, because again, there's no point in us trying to get you to eat stuff that you just don't like, because it's just never going to happen. But beliefs, so like religious beliefs, being vegan and veggie and things like that, they all come into account when we write your nutrition strategy. So we're not here to try and change your beliefs or anything like that. So we want to be able to take those into account and fit the strategy around those beliefs. Moods as well. So some people tend to go through different moods, and will maybe, when they're happier, eat a certain way. When they're feeling angry, eat a certain way. So the strategy needs to take that into account as well. So again, we can stick to it for a lot longer period of time. And then, do you eat differently for different periods of the year? So a lot of people will maybe eat differently when they're busy at work to when they're quieter at work. And the strategy needs to be adaptable and fit around both these aspects. So sometimes you need to maybe have 2 strategies that combine into one. Also as well, with the ladies, time of the month comes into effect. So some people tend to have maybe a bit of a different strategy for the time of the month. So they maybe have a little bit more food around this time, just because cravings are higher and things like that, just to get them through. But everybody's different, and that's sort of the main thing that we do, is take into account these preferences so we can fit the strategy around them. So the next thing we do is match the strategy to your lifestyle. So we want to make sure that it fits your lifestyle, so it's a lot easier to stick to and you're a lot more consistent. So the factors we tend to try and look at is your activity levels and the type of activity that you do. So if you're doing very high intensity exercise and you're very active, you might need a different strategy to someone that's not that active, that's not doing too much intense exercise, and it's just trying to fit it around what you like to do. Your job makes a big difference as well. So people that maybe work at desks will maybe need a different strategy for someone like a plasterer or something like that, that's moving around all day and is expending a lot of calories. If you've got kids, makes a big difference as well. So some strategies probably are not too kid friendly. So if you've got kids and you have to cook the kids' meal at the same time as yours, the strategy is just not going to work. Partners make a big difference as well. So similar to the kids, Some partners like to sit down and eat together, and if you've got a really strict, boring nutrition plan of chicken and broccoli, your partner's not going to like that for too much longer. Time restraints is a big one. So if you haven't got a lot of time, the nutrition strategy can't be something that's too elaborate, because it's just never going to work. You're going to feel stressed all the time, and it's just going to make things worse. Social life is another big one. So lots of people base eating's a very social habit, and lots of people base their nutrition around social habits. So if you're a very social person, you like to go out and eat with friends and things like that, the strategy needs to be able to suit that, because you're going to stick to it a lot longer again. And then hobbies as well. So we have sort of maybe people that have hobbies outside of training. So we have a guy that plays football, and he will maybe eat more calories on the day that he plays football, because he wants to have a little bit more energy for it, and he feels like he plays a little bit better when he plays football. So again, it just takes into account everything to make it as individual as possible, and as easy as possible for you guys, the members, to be able to stick to. So with this one, it may seem pretty simple, that making sure the strategy lines up with your goals, but it's an aspect that lots of people and coaches miss out on. So an example could be, if you're doing a sort of a higher intensity lifting program, and because you want to get stronger, then a lower carb, higher fat diet probably is not going to suit that too well. So you've got to make sure that it lines up with the strategy and also with your goals, because there's some strategies that again don't match too well to certain goals. So we've got to take this into account as well. And it sounds really simple, but the strategy must be specific to your goals. And then last but certainly not least is we follow the science. So a lot of the science sort of says that being flexible makes the difference when it comes to your nutrition and the strategy that you pick. So we always try and make sure the strategy is flexible, because again, that's going to feed how well that you stick to it, feed the success, and it also, following the science also gives us confidence in the strategy. So we know that it's been proven that it works. So say if for whatever reason it might not be working with you, we can afford to give it a couple of weeks and see where we go. If we don't follow the science, we don't have the confidence in the strategy, and then it ends up being chopped and changed all the time, which again isn't that great for consistency or adherence, or anything like that. Also as well, it's important to know that the strategy isn't fixed. We can always change it and adapt bits and bobs all the time, and it's very rare that you will get it nailed on, the strategy nailed on from the get-go. It always needs tweaking and here and there just to try and make it a little bit easier to fit. And again, when we get into different periods of training and different times of the year, we can always change it to help it fit you best in that exact time of your life. And that's it. So in a nutshell, that's how we choose your nutrition strategy. So thanks for listening, guys. And if you have any questions or any feedback, good or bad, please just drop me a message or drop me an email. Cheers, guys.